everyone. This is Marin, and you're listening to Homeschool Unrefined, the podcast where we keep homeschool simple, real, and fun.
And this is Angela. You've got a special episode where we don't do it all with Candace Bure. We are going to get to that interview in a couple minutes, but first we wanted to say hello. Hi to all of our listeners. We're so glad you're here. It's so great to be here with you again. And a special hello to our Patreon supporters.
Yes.
If you are interested in supporting us on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/homeschoolunrefined.
A little bit about Homeschool Unrefined. We are a podcast, a homeschool podcast, and we are here to encourage you to be yourself in your homeschool experience. Your kids and you need you to be yourself. And so we're here to encourage you to do that. And also to take things off your plate. We are here to take the unnecessary things that you don't need to be doing all the time off your plate and help you feel good about the things you are doing.
Yeah, so we are a little bit different than other homeschoolers. We think it's important that you don't compare yourself to what other homeschoolers are doing or what other podcasters or bloggers or people are doing, but that you're doing what works for you and what's good for you. And that's probably a lot less than you already are doing.
Exactly. So if you need a bit of encouragement, we are here. We're here for you.
Yep. So today we are excited because we have Candace Bure on the show.
Yes.
And we grew up watching Candace as DJ Tanner on Full House. Mm-hmm. And now she is on Fuller House, and our kids are watching her.
Yeah, and we're watching her.
And us. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest.
Full disclosure. And she is doing everything. She's acting. I mean, she's doing Fuller House, but also lots of Hallmark movies and so many other parts. She is a producer. She's written several books, and she's a mom to 3 teenagers. Well, actually, even one who's not even a teenager anymore. So
yeah, and we got to talk to her about a lot of stuff: parenting, personalities, which we love to talk about, and mostly being yourself.
Right, exactly. And she has a new children's book out, which is called Candace Center Stage. And so we asked her a few questions about that too. It was such a great interview.
And also, Candace was so kind. She agreed to stay on and talk especially to our patrons. We love our patrons so much for supporting us. And so she answered some really fun questions at the end that we had for them. So if you are interested in that, you can go to patreon.com/homeschoolunrefined and enjoy our conversation with Candace.
Candace, thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate it so much.
You're so welcome.
So we usually start by asking our guests to tell us a little bit about yourselves, but I think we have this illusion that we know you really well because we follow you on Instagram. We see what you do every day. Is there anything that you could tell us that we might not know from Instagram? Anything about
I'll be honest, you guys, you really do know a lot because I hear a lot of personal
feel like we
stuff
do.
On Instagram. Like what you see is what you get.
Right.
But what do you not know about me?
Yeah, maybe just like your favorite music or your favorite meal or a hobby that you haven't showed us yet. I don't know.
I show you all my favorite things. I'm like, I love working out, but you probably know that. And
you know that.
Boris. I don't really like cooking. My husband does all of that, which I show on Instagram because the food that we cook here is amazing. But that's all my husband. Amazing. I'm like the sous chef. I can chop and cut and prep, but I'm not as great cooking. And I'm just on my downtime because I don't get a lot. Like what I really love to do, I love to read books. Yeah. But even sometimes I'm like, I get bogged down because I read so many scripts that I want to read books. And then I'm just like, I want my eyes to rest, but I really love reading. And then I'm just known to sit and, for real, just watch the Hallmark Channel for hours at a time and eat chips and guacamole or pints of ice cream. And no shame.
No shame in that.
Sounds amazing.
Everybody needs a way to unwind. So that's great.
That's mine.
Absolutely.
So Candace, we also love talking about personality types on our show, and you told us ahead of time that you know a little bit about the Enneagram, but we'd love to hear, what is your Enneagram type?
I'm a 3.
Oh,
Oh, yes.
that makes
The
sense. So
performer,
Does
or
make
I
sense.
mean, everyone
Achiever?
has achiever.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah. I mean, you can go down the list of the things that I do, and you can
Mhm.
probably tell that I'm a 3. I mean, obviously, I love to perform, but I set so many goals for myself, and I'm like, acting, not enough. Producing, okay, not enough. Directing,
Yeah.
nope,
Yeah.
okay, not enough. Author, nope, not enough. Got it. Like the list goes on, and I'm
Yeah.
learning, though, the great thing about the Enneagram that I've been learning is to see the weaknesses in my personality, which is such a wonderful tool. And then to be aware of them, recognize them, and then figure out how to improve upon that.
Absolutely.
But I'm a 3 and I have a wing. My wing is a 2,
Yep,
a
So the
helper.
helper, yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes a
So
lot of
I'm
sense.
kind of an overachiever, and I really want people to love me, and caring and giving all at the same time.
Which makes so much sense, because as we were getting ready for this interview, we were like, oh, there's another thing that she just did.
Yeah.
There are more things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing so many
What
great
are you guys? Because now I'm curious.
I am a 7, so that's the enthusiast. I like adventures. I like new things. I like having fun, and I get bored easily. Probably the most. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is okay, now I'm sorry, you guys opened up a can of worms.
That's okay. Let's
great.
talk.
So, and you're married.
Yes.
So is your husband more emotional than you are?
No,
Ooh.
In the
my
sense
husband,
of sharing or being open to emotion.
no, really, my husband is a 1 on the Enneagram. So that's like the perfectionist or the reformer. So I am kind of like, let's go do this fun thing and this fun thing. And he's kind of like, okay, well, let's just think that through and see how that's going to work out.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
How about you?
I'm a 6, and 6s are driven by the need to feel safe and secure. And so in that way, they really cling on to relationships and people. So they're very loyal because they want to feel that safety and security.
Right.
So I'm a really loyal friend, but I also am prone to anxiety. Like, I think about the worst case scenario a lot.
Yep, for sure.
So that's something that I'm working on, which I love. I just love this about the Enneagram, because you're right. It is a way towards self-improvement. Like, the more you learn about it, the more you learn things about yourself that you can improve. So.
Yep.
And I think it's actually helped me really to understand my husband more too, because I really have thought he should be more like me as a 7. Like, he needs to be more fun or whatever. But really, I'm valuing his gifts so much more now that I know that it's just in him. It's who he is.
Right.
So do you know what your husband's Enneagram number is?
Well, I know what I think it is.
Yeah.
But he will not take it, which just proves what number he is.
Okay. Wow.
And he is he's a number 8.
Oh, okay.
But he's
Yep.
like a textbook 8. So he's a challenger.
Yep.
He's so he even said to me, he's like, no one's going to put a number on me. Why is someone going to tell me what kind of number it is? He's like, you know what my number is? My number's 1, because I am number 1 in life. I'm number 1. I'm the best. I was like, wow, you are really an 8. Okay.
Yeah, you just named yourself there. Yeah, totally. Oh my goodness.
That's fun. That's fun. I love it.
Okay, so Candace, when you were on Full House, we were watching you. I think we're actually all the same age.
Yeah.
I think we are. So you were technically homeschooled while you were on Full House, right? So when we were imagining when we were 10, 11, 12, what life was like for you. Could you tell us a little bit about your experience? Just on the set as a kid, and maybe how you were homeschooled.
Yeah, sure. So it was a little different for me every year, because I would try different things each school year to see if one worked better than another. But when you're on a television show or in a movie as a child, there are labor laws. So by law, you have to have a minimum of 3 hours of school a day. And it can be from like a homeschooling sense, or even if you're going to a regular school, but they have to clock those hours by union rules. So when we would do the show, it was pretty much like a school year. We would start in August and finish our season in like March. I mean, just a little short of a school year. And so virtually I would get up in the morning, be at the studio at 8 a.m. And I was in a little box of a room. That would be my classroom. It was kind of like a closet size. And my teacher his name was Glenn. And we would just work through all my subjects within the 3 hours. And some days we would do 4 hours, because that's what you call banking an hour. So that on a tape day, when we were taping our show in front of a live audience, if I banked an hour Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday and banked 3 hours, then on Friday, I actually wouldn't have to do my school because I've already accounted for those 3 hours on Friday. So we would all do our school in the morning, and then we would break for lunch for an hour, and usually from like 12 to 1. And then we would start our rehearsal in the afternoon from like 1 to 5 or 1 to 6. And then our tape days were long, but again, they have labor laws that depending on what age, you really couldn't work over 12 hours, and shorter if you were even younger, like babies are like 8 hours or 6 hours.
Sure. So each of the kids got their own like a private tutor.
Mostly, but like Jody and Andrea Barber, Jody Sweeten, who played Stephanie, and Kimmy, they shared a teacher for a long time. And I had my own teacher, and I think that's just because I struggled in school. So I was I hated math, and I was with their teacher. It was the three of us. And then finally, I wasn't doing so well in some subjects. So we got my own teacher. So I could really concentrate by myself. And then eventually when Andrea was in high school, like she got her own teacher as well. So it just progressed as we got older.
Yeah, that's great.
Interesting. So Candace, you sent us your book, Candace Center Stage. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
We're wondering if you could tell us the story of that book and how it came to be. And we're assuming this is a story based on your experience. So could you tell our listeners about that?
Yes. Well, okay. Let me start by saying I've been dreaming of writing this book for 20 years. Ever since I had my first baby, Natasha. I can remember sitting in my living room with her, just holding her and playing with toys and reading her books. And then I just thought, I want to write a book for you one day. It was one of my favorite things to do with my kids. And I read to them on the couch, in bed, before going to sleep, like as long as they would stand it, like until they got to an age where they're like, Mom, you're not reading to me anymore.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, I just loved it. And I really love beautiful illustrations. Like that was my other thing, even if it was a picture book and there were very few words, just to look at the pictures and find things and have them use their imagination. I just loved it. So this book, Candace Center Stage, has been a dream for 20 years and it finally came true. And really, it's always in the timing. I have a wonderful publisher. I've published 5 other books. This was my 6th one, but it really, you kind of have to establish yourself. And so this was one that I guess I established myself enough as a writer that my publisher was like, okay, we could do a children's book. We think people might buy this. So I got to do it. And the story about Candace, she's not completely based on me. Yes, she has my name, but her personality type is a little more like my daughter's. So I wrote it more from a parent's perspective and not my own as being a child. But certainly there are experiences that shaped this first story of Candace, which she goes to ballet class for the first time. And that was probably influenced from my time on Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, wow.
And Candace has like a big, bold personality, and she goes to ballet class, but she thinks she doesn't even need lessons because she's so good at it.
Mm-hmm.
But she realizes she's not quite as good as she thinks she is.
Right.
So as a parenting tool, I like reading this because her mom in the story makes her stick with it. She's like, nope, you got to keep trying. You got to keep practicing. And even at the end of the book, it's like, it's okay if you're not the best, but you can't quit just because you aren't number one.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's okay. So I think my husband needs to read this.
Yeah.
All the 8s really need to read this one. No, that is such a good message. And I think, especially just in our culture today, we all want to be the best at everything. And it's okay to just enjoy something. Just enjoy it.
Exactly.
Yep.
And there's other little messages along the way, because there's the other girls that are in the ballet class, and they think she's a little weird just because she's like dancing in her own little style.
Yeah, right.
And so, but at the end, there's some kindness that's extended, and the girls end up helping each other out to make it the best situation that they can and have a happy ending to the book. So it's all about being kind, and even if someone does something a little different than you.
Yeah,
totally. It is such a good message. And now one bonus for us as homeschoolers, we get to our kids get to focus on their passions, or they can try out things just like this, and if they're not the best at it, that's okay. They can just continue to enjoy it, but also they get to kind of they have this time to figure out who they are before the world gets to influence them so much. We felt like this was kind of a theme in your book too. Could you speak to that idea?
Oh, I love that. I actually haven't heard anyone put that into words, but that is such a core message that I speak just in life in general, and particularly to high school and college age people, because I'm always constantly saying, if you don't know who you are before you step out into the world, the world is going to tell you who you are, and they are going to try to shape you into who they want you to be.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's not a good thing, especially if you want to have core values, beliefs. Of course, that can go in any which direction which you're being taught. But as a woman of faith and having Christian principles, and having a biblical worldview, that is incredibly important as a mom to teach my children, because I'm like, listen, you'll be pulled in every which direction, and you'll be asked to compromise when you don't even think you're asked to be compromised.
Right. Absolutely. Yep, totally. And it sometimes can come like, it might just sound like you need to be more flexible, or, let's just help, whatever. But, you still want to really dig into the roots of your values and beliefs, and and your passions and your interests. And it's okay to do something that you love to do, even though you're not the best at it.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what would you say to, we think probably a lot of our listeners are going to be listening with their kids to this episode. And so we're wondering, could you speak to those kids who maybe are afraid to try something because they think that they're not going to be good at it? What would you
oh my goodness,
what would you say to them?
What I say to my own kids, well, what are you afraid of? That you're just going to be bad at it and you're going to fail at it? Who cares?
Yeah.
You tried. Who cares? We're all bad at something. You have to know, right? So if you don't ever try, then you'll never even know if you're bad or good at it. So you got to try at least once. And then if you start something, you have to stick with it at least for that season that you said that you would. Because I truly believe in that too, because that builds character. And I tell my kids that all the time. So I'm like, you may not like it in the moment, but trust me, as you get older, you'll realize that you're capable of doing more than you thought you could, because you stuck with it, even though you hated it. And now you don't ever have to do it again.
Yeah. Right.
That's
such
my
a good message.
If you don't like it, you don't have to do it anymore.
Right. This is so good for adults too.
Oh, yeah.
We all need to hear this.
We all need to hear it.
My husband, who is an entrepreneur, also just says we all need to get used to failing, because failing gets you forward. You need to keep going.
Learn from your mistakes.
Right.
Exactly. So, like I said, to us as kids watching when we were kids, it looked like you had it all together on Full House. Did you ever feel awkward as a child, or did you have those feelings of like, I am not good at this, or?
Oh, I felt awkward all the time, but mostly because you were all watching me be awkward on television, and that feels really awkward.
It's vulnerable, I'm sure.
Yeah, very. So, I never really felt, as far as acting went, being on Full House, I never felt like I couldn't do the job, or there was nothing that they gave me that I was like, I can't do this. But growing up on television with millions of people in several countries watching you is just weird. Like, you get a zit on your face and you're everyone's going to see it. And then, your body changes and it just doesn't always feel very good. But, the good thing about being on Full House was that I had Andrea Barber with me, right alongside me, even Jodie Sweetin, Scott Weinger, who played Steve on the show for so many years. And I'm like, we were all awkward together. So we at least made each other feel a little better. That's what friends are for.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So great.
So your ballet experience in Candace Center Stage, I mean, if this was a little bit autobiographical, came full circle for you on Dancing with the Stars. So can you tell us a little bit about that experience? How was that? Was it exciting? I mean, we gather from your stories how much you love Dancing with the Stars. So I'm sure it was exhilarating.
It was exhilarating is a great word for it, because it was this love, not hate relationship, but love sick relationship, because it was so out of my comfort zone. And I loved doing it so much because I wish I could dance better. And I wish I had actually practiced that as a kid, but I was on television, so I had no time to go to dance school. Sure. But it scared the living daylights out of me. Like, it scared, I was scared out of my mind to do that show. And I was so sick before every live show. I would just make myself sick because I had so much anxiety. And then I'm like, I'm not going to remember any of the steps. And it's live television. It feels like so much pressure.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, having finished the show, and I went to the very end because I got to the finals. I came in third, which I never expected. Thank you, all the fans that voted, because I was not really a very good dancer. But that was one of those experiences, which is in Candace Center Stage, that I made it through to the end. And after it was all over, I was so relieved. I'm like, I don't think I ever want to do that again in my life, even though I loved it, but it gave me a lot of anxiety. But I was so proud of myself. That was the biggest thing I learned. It boosted my confidence. And I was like, I think I could do anything now, because that was so scary and I made it through. So now if another challenge comes before me, I'm not going to be as scared to say no right away, because I realized what I just accomplished.
Right.
Oh, such a good message.
So great. So wonderful. And what a great thing for your kids to see you do something that you're scared to do.
Oh, I know. I know.
That's all ahead of them.
And I like them all the time. Like, those were great learning lessons along the way. I'm like, oh my goodness, guys, I'm probably going to puke. I'm going to puke right before the show, but Mama's going to do it. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It is so good to process those things with your kids. Yeah. Because that is exactly what they're going to be going through.
Exactly.
Very soon.
So it all happens.
Right. Now, something we talk about a lot on our podcast for parents is to make sure you're being true to yourself, being the best version of who you are as a person. So I think that is really wonderful that you do that with, you process with your kids and things like that. We know you were home also with your kids for several years before you went back to acting. So I guess, why do you think that was good for your family and your kids? And why do you think it's good for you to be back acting now and, doing these things that you love?
Yeah. Well, I don't think one path or one course is right for everybody in every family. Everyone's looks different. And so what I did worked well for me and my family, but it might not work well or be right for you. So I always like to just remind people of that because it's so easy to fall into that comparison game. But I knew that when I had my kids, and I started at 22, 23, and 25. Those were the ages I had my kids at. And I wanted to be a stay-at-home parent. I wanted to raise them in the sense that my acting job takes me all over the world. I travel places. My husband at the time was a professional hockey player. His job was on the road half of the time. So for us to both continue our jobs, we would essentially have to have someone primarily raising our children for us. And we didn't want that. So it made sense for me to not work while my husband played professional hockey because he had such a short window of time to play as a professional athlete. But my hope and my dream and my prayer was always that I would be able to go back to work. But I really felt at peace that God would either open the door or close the door during that time, if it was ever right for me to go back to work. And I just felt at peace that I'm like, my family is incredible and I love my children and I love my husband. And if I never work again, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it'll be enough.
It's enough.
Yeah.
But God, you kind of know my heart. So I really would like to go back to one day. But in all honesty, I felt really good about that. So anyway, that's why I essentially decided to be, I was a full-time stay-at-home mom for 10 years. I did try homeschooling. I lasted 6 months.
Good for you.
I wanted to rip my hair out and I feel like it turned gray prematurely. And then I was like, okay, not for me. And my husband was like begging me. He's like, will you please give it up? Give it up. Just give it up.
No.
Like, you're awful. You're awful. Like my spirit was awful. It was just
I mean,
he's like, honey, it's okay. Like not everyone is called to be a homeschooling mom and you're not called to be a homeschooling mom. I'm like, okay.
Yes, that's great.
I felt such relief when my husband was in agreement. He's like, just take the pressure off. Let's find a great little school for them. Okay.
For sure.
I think that is, I mean, there's so much wisdom in that too. We are always, every year we reevaluate and we're like, is this really the best for me? Is this the best for each kid? I mean, it's so important to make sure it's right for everyone, for sure.
My sister, I'm going off track here.
No,
but my
that's okay.
Sister, Melissa, she has 5 kids. She homeschools all her 5.
Oh, wow.
And she's from ages 12 to 18 months.
Oh, wow.
And
okay.
then my brother and his wife, they have 6 kids and they homeschooled all of them. But I think just one of them right now is actually going to high school.
Okay.
And that's like even the first in all of his family, that one just at high school really, really wanted that experience. So you do have to reevaluate every step of the way.
For
each
sure.
child can be different.
Well, the great thing now, I mean, even probably since you were trying to decide if you should homeschool or not, I mean, so much has changed since then. There are probably a million things to do besides be at home all day to complete be at school all day. There's so many things now and so many podcasts. I mean, if we could have been a podcast for you, we would have helped you through.
I know. Thank you.
We totally would have been there for you.
I feel like that with my sister because obviously we're really close and we talk a lot. But there are days when she calls me and she's just crying because she, they're just hard days and like you're talking to 5 little ones all day long and her husband works and then I'll talk to her and I'm like, but do you realize what you're doing? Like, can you take a second and step back and look at your children? Look at how smart they are and how kind and compassionate and how imaginative they are. Like, you have raised unbelievable kids. And I know that the days can be hard and the days can be long, but like, you are my superhero. And so I just need you to know that that you're a great mom and doing such incredible work and keep it up, you know?
Oh, that's so great.
I get so much wisdom from her.
Yeah.
And
well, that is the best thing you could tell probably any mom. You're doing a great job. Just keep at it. Keep doing it.
Yep.
So good.
Definitely.
I need to hear that sometimes.
I know. We all do. We all do. Yeah.
Okay. Candace, it can seem like to us outsiders like you're doing it all. You know, you're an actor, producer, writer, mom to 3 teens. I'm not sure if they're all teens still, but we know that, however, is a lie because none of us are doing it all. It's impossible for us to do it all. One thing that we like to talk about on our show are the things that we're not doing. We call it what we don't do. And we do that because we want to help everybody feel good about what their priorities are. And so we all have things that we don't do. Like I don't garden. I don't do my kids' laundry. I don't really do up the holidays very much. So we're just wondering, what are some things that you don't do? You already told us one.
Either.
You said you don't cook. You said you don't cook.
Nope, I don't cook. I help, but I don't cook.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't do my children's laundry, but my children are 20, 18, and 16. They've been doing their laundry for at least 10 years on their own. That was like a big one. Apparently, I don't decorate my Christmas tree either because it's been sitting up with the lights on and I have not gotten the ornaments out because no one will help me. Yep. I did, however, this is about I won't say what I did. Okay.
That's coming up, though. We're going to talk about that next.
What else don't I do? I don't answer all my emails or business inquiries because I have an assistant. I had to get one 3 years ago. I was like a control freak and had to give that up and needed help. So I delegate a lot.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I pick up my house and keep my house relatively clean, but I do not do the deep cleaning in my house. Someone comes once a week.
Oh, great.
Awesome.
I don't know. What else do I not do?
That's so great because those are the things that free you up to spend, quality time with your kids and your family. And you get to do the things you want to do. You love to do.
And doing the things you're good at. You're spending more time doing the things that really Go ahead.
Yes, I agree with you. And we always felt that way in raising our kids, and especially with schoolwork and how individual they are and how different they learn. And one of my kids would have a little more difficulty in certain areas, and the teachers always wanted to harp on the things they weren't doing well. And I thought, no, I just need them to pass that. I want to focus on the things they do well, and let's bring it up to an even greater position than they're in already. And so I love focusing on the positive and bringing out strengths and not focusing on trying to build up weaknesses that really they don't need to be built up or made better. It's like, if I don't do that well, it's okay. Someone else do that part.
Right. I can do it well enough to get by for the rest of my life. And the rest, I want to just focus on the things I love to do. So
it's like me with numbers. I don't do numbers well. Right. So I'm like, you know what? My husband does do numbers well. So you know what, babe? You're doing the numbers.
Perfect.
Okay. So this is a good segue. So we also like to talk on our podcast about what we do well. So as a parent, is there something you do really well?
I think I'm a really good cheerleader.
Oh, that's great.
Is that
that's awesome.
To say?
No,
but
that's so important.
I feel like my kids appreciate it, but I feel like I do that really, really well to encourage and be enthusiastic and
authentic.
Yes. Yeah. I
see that.
feel like I'm a good cheerleader.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's so important. We all need a good cheerleader.
Don't we though? I feel like I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in now. I wouldn't have accomplished the things I haven't if I did not have people cheering me along in life. It's like a marathon runner, man. You just need those people on the sidelines going, you can do it. You can do it. You've got this. Keep going. And it pushes them through to the end.
Totally.
That's great.
Totally.
That's great.
Yeah. So give yourself credit for that.
Yes. Don't be afraid to say it.
Yep. Definitely.
So Candace, you are a parent, you've raised 3 great kids. What is a big lesson that you've learned from parenting?
Oh, that life isn't all about me.
Oh.
The first and biggest lesson, probably.
So true. Literally, from the moment they're born,
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, it's not about me anymore.
I know.
Being a very young mom, that actually was a major lesson I had to learn.
Yeah.
And which I mean, we all have to learn that, but I believe because I was a working child.
Yeah.
And everything really revolved around me and self. And it was like a shock of a lifetime when I'm like, whoa, I have other people to consider in my life.
Yep.
I remember at the hospital with my first child, and they're like, so you're going to need to feed her, every 2 hours. And I was like, every 2 hours? Around the clock?
What does that do for my
could not
social
believe
life, my schedule?
Like, I need to sleep.
It's funny. I vividly remember after my first was born, I was at home on the couch, laying down, and she cried. And I was like, I'm going to have to get up. Like,
there's nobody else.
I guess this is what I do now.
Yeah.
All right. So, Candace, you've written several books. And we are just wondering, do you have a favorite book that you go back to and read often, or maybe it's a new favorite book that you loved recently?
Oh, I honestly have not gone back and read my books after I've written them, unless I need to brush up because I'm doing an interview and I want to.
Yeah.
I've already written out great sound bites, so I'm like, why am I going to try to rethink and then jumble them? I'll go back and review. But other than that, I really don't go back to read my books. You know what book I just finished and loved was called Becoming Mrs. Lewis. Have you guys heard of that?
No.
Oh, it's so good. So it's like historical fiction. So I'm much more of a nonfiction reader.
Yeah.
And I don't read fiction very often, but because this is historical, it's all based on historical events, but it's enhanced. I mean, the writer has imagined up the conversations in between these historical events. So Becoming Mrs. Lewis is how Joy Davidman became Mrs. C.S. Lewis.
Oh my goodness.
How they met and eventually became husband and wife, but it's so interesting. And like I said, there's some fiction in it within the conversations, but everything the writer took that all because she's a well-known writer. Of course, C.S. Lewis is, and through interviews that they've done over the years, most of it is historical fact. So it's an incredible book. I just ate it up, couldn't get enough.
That
awesome.
Sounds fascinating. I love C.S. Lewis's writing, and I am fascinated by him. So
go get that book. It's so good.
Definitely.
It sounds good. I like books that are about the women, kind of who you don't behind the men, maybe. And I don't. Yeah.
She was a powerhouse. So I mean, C.S. Lewis was very established before he met her, but she took him to a different level.
Oh,
she was really the backbone in his later years of all the things that he wrote, and then even she wrote. And this is back in the 50s and 40s, 50s. So when you think about the kinds of things that she accomplished and the kind of woman that she was, it's so empowering. You will love her story.
Oh my goodness. I cannot wait.
I am going to read that. It reminds me of another book that I read, The Other Einstein. Have you guys read that?
No.
It's about Einstein's wife and how she came up with, it's historical fiction, but based on fact, about how she came up with, basically they work together on all the theories, but he gets all the credit.
Wow.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
I want to read that book too.
Yeah.
Candace, do you have a favorite children's book at all?
Ooh. Gosh, there have been so many over the years.
I know.
Well, one of my favorites is "I'll Love You Forever."
Oh yeah.
You read them.
Oh, yes.
I cry now
I
because
know.
I'm the old woman.
Yeah.
I'm the old woman, and my son is 6 feet tall.
Oh, my
so I'm
goodness.
like, he's gonna basically be carrying me into my bed and tucking me in. I'm like, I seriously cry now. When I cried when they were little, but I cry for
Yes.
different reasons, and even more now that I'm older.
Yeah.
And my kids are older.
I was just thinking about that book last night as my 8-year-old wanted to lay next to me in bed. And my first reaction was, you're too big. You're getting too big for this. I want my own bed. And then I was thinking, no, it's okay. She's still my baby.
Yeah.
For sure.
Every once in a while, I mean, yeah, my 16-year-old will sometimes still just like, hey, can I watch a movie in bed with you guys? I'm like, yeah, come on in, buddy.
You have to soak it up, right? I mean,
exactly.
The older they get, the more I realize this is fleeting.
This is fleeting fast.
They just need to enjoy every minute.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
So, Candace, at the end of our podcast episodes, we always close with something we're loving this week. So this can be something silly or serious or big or little. So sometimes, we talk about movies or books or apps or food or, random things like that. Can you share something with our listeners that you are loving this week?
Okay, I've been listening to the soundtrack to A Star is Born non-stop this week. Like it's just been on repeat. And Lady Gaga was so good in that movie, and Bradley Cooper. I just enjoyed the movie so much, but really the music is incredible. So
yes,
it's been on replay. I've been loving it this week.
Oh yeah,
that song, The Shallow.
I know. Yep,
it kills me.
I know.
Every time.
Yep.
Good choice. All right, so your book is called Candace Center Stage.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, anywhere else.
I mean, it should be in all major retail bookstores, but if not, you can always find it online or just order it through your local bookstore.
Yeah.
And I know you're doing so many things. You're on the Hallmark Channel right now with I think it's called the Shoe Addicts Christmas.
Yeah, that's all month long in December. And then I will have more Aurora Tea Garden Mysteries on the Hallmark Movies and Mysteries channel next year. And Fuller House season 4.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we know all about that at our house. December 14th, right? Yes, we've heard.
And the other little fun thing is that I have a lot of stuff now. I've in a partnership and collaboration with Dayspring, and Dayspring is like that faith division of Hallmark cards.
Okay.
So I have a lot of products. I have great aprons and all kinds of kind products, folders, kind phone cases, kind scripture cards that you can pass out to people, and even t-shirts and stuff. So that's just a growing line that has come out at the end of this year, but it's going to go into full bloom by next year.
Yeah, and I think I saw on your stories their kindness journal.
Yeah, that just came out, and that's exclusive to Amazon, but it's 52 weeks of cultivating kindness.
Yeah,
and that is a journal really for all ages, so it can be for your daughters.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, every single age in between, because it's a journal. You write down the things that you've done that are kind in the week, and then for every week I give you a tip on what else you could do to be kind. And it just makes you focus and put that into the forefront and be conscious and aware of being kind to other people. And it's really simple, easy things like smile.
Yeah, I love that.
That's great. That sounds like be a great gift too for the holidays.
Yeah.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for being with us, Candace. We
You're
appreciate it so much. It was great to talk to you. We loved having Candace on our show. That was a lot of fun.
That was so much fun. We talked about so many different things, and it was great.
I feel like we could go out and, have coffee together.
Yeah. And remember, if you are interested in hearing the rest of our interview with Candace, you can go to patreon.com/homeschoolunrefined. And then you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Homeschool Unrefined. We'd love to have you follow us there. We also have a closed Facebook group for homeschoolers called Unrefined Homeschoolers. And we talk about lots of different homeschool topics and things. That's lots of fun in that community. We also have a website called homeschoolunrefined.com where you can find links to everything that we talked about. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening.
Homeschool Unrefined is created and produced by Maren Gorse and Angela Sizer. Ethan Miller is our editor, and Amanda Ginn is our VP of all the important things.